We're going to have our first conversation with Shawmar Pitts, who's an organizer, lead organizer, community coordinator. Shawmar, if you can come up on stage with me. So we'll have our first conversation. He is our keynote speaker. We selected Shawmar as our keynote to kick off this ecoWURD conversation because of what we've talked about in the past, what's been going on in Southwest Philly with the Philadelphia Energy Solutions refinery. How you doing, Shawmar? Good to see you.
Great.
All right, good. Come on, let's sit down. Philly Thrive has been sounding the alarm for quite some time about what's been happening at the Philadelphia Energy Solutions refinery. We still don't know the extent to which the Philadelphia Energy Solutions refinery, which we assume is now like not in operation, but we don't know the extent to the damage it caused, right? The many lives that have been lost. We still don't have an account of years, decades really, of people who've been, gotten sick as a result of the toxicity and the poisons that were emanating from that site. There's still a lot of poisoning that's going on at that site. Tell us, Shawmar, where are we with, first talk about what you do with Philly Thrive, and then where are we with the PES refinery?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm a strategy organizer for an environmental justice group named Philly Thrive. And Philly Thrive initially came about because the oil refinery was there. And they were talking about expanding the oil refinery. So Philly Thrive, being an environmental justice group, stood up and came in our community, in the black community, and asked us, did we know about this expansion? Do you know they're trying to expand the oil refinery? And we didn't know, right? Because normally, a lot of times in our communities, we just struggling to get by day to day. So this all the other things that's going on around you, we don't even have the time to be in the middle of the fight because we fighting for our lives every day, right? So stuff like that slips by. So what happened was they brought it to people's attention that, do you know about this oil refinery? We like, yes, we smell it, we breathe it in, and we know it's not good, but to the extent we just didn't know. So they brung the data, they brung the numbers, they brung the studies, and the numbers don't lie. So this started a movement in our community to hold the oil company and the oil refinery to be responsible for what they were doing. And in the process, it went bankrupt, and then Hillco came in and said they were going to go green and adopt the community, no more pollution. And we went to our legislators and city council and state representatives and people like them, and we asked, me personally, we need legislation passed to say, whoever wins the bid, because it was up for bid, whoever wins the bid to purchase this oil refinery, it can no longer be an oil refinery polluting our community and killing our community, because the studies and the numbers say that we are the highest sufferers of asthma, heart disease, and lung ailments, birth defects, all kind of cancers. We got the highest numbers. Why? Because it's coming from the oil refinery. And they say, you can't prove it. Well, the numbers don't lie. So anyway, Hillco said they was going to go green, they was going to adopt the community, they were going to bring jobs to the community. Mm-hmm. This was all their promises.
Any of that happened yet?
No. Short answer, no. Right? A lot of lies have been told, right? A lot of misrepresentation has been done. So they do a lot of greenwashing is what they call it, right? Saying, yeah, we going green, we doing this. And we adopting the community. And all of these things, we got an internship. And we giving out fans. But when a group like Philly Thrive say, we want to negotiate a CBA, We want to negotiate a community benefit agreement between the community and the corporation. They said in the beginning, when we were advocating for them to win the bid, because by the way, when we went to our legislators, they wouldn't put legislation in to say it couldn't be a refinery. They wouldn't do that. No matter how much we talked about how our deaths is piling up and how our health is suffering, they wouldn't, the ones that represent us, the ones that's supposed to be for the people, they would not support legislation saying you can't pollute our community. They wouldn't do that. So we said, okay, no problem. And I want to say too, to their credit, they didn't say no. They didn't tell us no. It just didn't get done. I'm gonna just say that, right? So now.
And real quick, before you go on, Shawmar,
yes.
Talk about what a community benefit agreement would mean.
Okay.
Describe that, because community benefit agreements too are something that happens in other places.
Right.
These aren't like unusual things to do in a situation like this.
It's normal, but not for us. It's normal. It's protocol in the United States. It's protocol to have a community benefit agreement with the corporations that come in your community, except for black communities. We just don't get it, right? And if you don't know about it, and if you don't speak up on it, they just do what they do, like they've been doing since that oil refinery was there for the last 150 years. Nobody ever had a community benefit agreement. They were making billions. When, if this was my high school and I looked out that window, I could see the oil refinery right across the street, across that highway. And they were making billions. And my high school was crumbling down right while we sitting in it. And they never gave us a dime. And they were making billions. So a community benefit agreement, this is an agreement between the community and the corporation that's legally binding, that you agree to terms. And I've just recently learned that a community benefit agreement, not etched in stone, but just generally speaking, 2% of whatever the project costs of this corporation should go to the community. 2%, right? So now, right now, in our communities, we don't ask for community benefit agreements. People just come in and make money and they leave when they want to leave, and they leave us with the pollution and they leave us with all the things that's bad, right? And they say they're going to bring jobs, and they do bring jobs, but we don't get the jobs because we cut off from education. So we're not educated to be able to hold those skilled engineer jobs and director of supervision and all of these high educational worthy jobs. We cut off from education systematically, not by accident, systematically, so we don't get those jobs. That's why. So now when they say we hiring, we can't do none of them jobs. We don't have no access to that kind of education in our neighborhood, but you right across the street from our school, right? For 100 years, you right across the street from our school, and we cut off from education, but you cut into the money. We cut out of economics, we cut out of education. This is why we have the violence and all the things that we suffer from in our communities, because the community benefit agreement, we don't know how to access that. So right now, when Philly Thrive came on the scene, they say, no, y'all supposed to get a community benefit agreement in y'all community. They have to. They have to. So we said, well, Hillco, we want a community benefit agreement. They said, oh, no problem. No problem. And they came with one. And they said, we're going to give y'all some turkeys. We're going to give y'all some coats. We're going to give y'all some book bags, school giveaway. And I said, ho, no. I'm talking about a real community benefit agreement. Don't get me wrong. I want the turkeys and the coats. I want that. Trust me, I want that. We need that. But we want some more substantial stuff that we gonna benefit from for real. Not no turkeys and coats, you eat it and it's gone. No, we want long-term benefit. We want to be connected to education. We want an education training center built right in our community so that the people in our community can go to that training center, and when they finish, guess where they going? They're going right to Hillco and get a job $30 an hour with y'all so the people in our community can be able to afford these houses that y'all trying to build up with the rooftop deck and all that. Yeah, we want to live in them too. So we want to have a job over there too. But it starts with education. That's where it starts at. So that's what we want. And also, we want no fossil fuel infrastructure in that redevelopment. We want all new modern green technology built over there. That's what we want. So now you know what they said. We don't want Philly Thrive. We don't want them at the table. We want all the other groups, that come from around. I ain't saying
you're asking for too much.
Yeah, I ain't saying on that. I don't want to talk bad about the other groups, but they coming and they asking for what they asking for. And that's what they want, but they're not talking on them terms. They're not asking, what about that tank farm? They put in permits to keep the tank farm. So the first thing I said was, you said y'all was going green. Y'all said what you need permits for to have a tank farm to import and export petroleum products. That's what it say on the permit that you're requesting. That's what it say, because you got to put the reason why you want the permit. It says to import and export petroleum products. Them tanks, they old. They link a substance, a carcinogen called benzene. This is what kills our community. This is what gives us cancer.
And Shawmar,
yes.
Let me ask you that too. Do we still have a sense of how many hundreds or thousands of people have had their health impacted by the refinery? Do we even know? Has anyone studied it? Has the city ever said, hey, let's conduct a study. We understand that this refinery's been here, what, about 100 years?
Yes.
Untold, we still don't know. I mean, the reason how I found out about it was because my mother passed away. She had just moved in to Southwest, right down the street from that refinery. So we didn't pay any attention to the refinery. She's healthy one day, and then she got cancer the next. So that's how I ended up becoming, one day I just want another project. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even thinking about the refinery. I just happened to look at the cancer maps in Philly, and I noticed the circles got even redder and more pronounced around the refinery site. I'm like, wait, that's where Mom lived.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, something's going on, and then started reaching out to different folks, and then found out about Philly Thrive, and now here we are having this conversation. But has anyone said, hey, let's get a sense of how many people got hurt? How many people died as a result of this refinery? Has that happened yet?
There's been studies done in the past. Recently, I can't speak for recently, but in the past, there's been studies and stuff like that. And it shows, like you said, that circle, that red circle, but that's it. But an in-depth look at how much we suffered, no, man, ain't nobody breaking their neck to do that.
That sounds like a form of Hillco or whoever owns that land should be having a conversation with everyone who's lived around or been impacted by that refinery. There needs to be a reparations conversation.
Oh, man.
There must be a reparations conversation. Part of that reparations of what you just lined out in terms of the education, the training, the job development, or the workforce development, that's a big part. That's a form of reparations.
Yes,
but there's also, there has to be some form of, and I know that's what you all talk about that as far as, but all the lives lost and all the resources and money spent from all the health care, from all the people that have been sick due to respiratory illnesses, cancers, or whatever else. We have to start talking about that.
Absolutely. And it's crazy because right now, the redevelopment is going on, right? And we trying to stop further pollution. And when you talk about having a conversation about reparations and stuff like that, we can't even get a conversation about anything when it comes to anything.
We don't even know what they're doing over there.
They ducking. We
have no idea what they're doing.
No idea. So several meetings, because we've protested, and every time we've protested, they agreed to meet with us. We're gonna meet with you. We want to meet with the community. We want you come in our community and meet with our community, and they agree. And every time, the day of or the day before, they cancel. They can't make it, right? And now they even went a step further because we've been one of the people blackballed. We can't. They said they would negotiate. They will negotiate a CBA as long as Philly Thrive is not at the table. They don't want me there. They don't want Shawmar at that table because they know what I'm asking for. So I'm asking for reparations and all of that.
Let me ask you why this is not just a Southwest Philly problem, why it's a full citywide problem, right? You know, making people understand, one, it's a full citywide problem in terms of the health impacts.
Right.
Because you got the refinery, then you got like, okay, we know what happened with the refinery. Why would we build a natural gas plant for SEPTA over in Nicetown? Why would we build one for PGW? We know what these substances do.
Yes.
So that's one, the public health impact. But talk about why people should care all over Philly and why they should care in terms of like the violence. Like when you have this much harm, this much violence from the poisons on our community, we shouldn't be surprised that we had this much violence. Like that instigates the violence, that precipitates the violence.
That's where the violence come from. That's the origin of the violence. The origin of the violence is people coming in with greed and taking all the resources and leaving your community with none. And that's going to spread throughout the city. That's not just going to stay local in your community, that's going to spread throughout the city. So all of our communities suffer when that's the term that's going on. So now what happens is when you come and you say you want to change that. See, because I know that the system is systematic. It's not just this one topic, because if you look at it, like you were alluding to earlier, I heard you talking when you talked about how all of these negative impacting events, how come it always affect us? It don't affect other people like it affect, we always catch the brunt of anything that's negative, we get the brunt of it. So now when you talk about the extraction and fossil fuel industry and the environmental harms that it does is a direct impact on us. And when you try to cripple us by sending us to dilapidated schools with the worst school system you can ever think of in this city, right? Then this is what's going to make the violence more prevalent, because people are not educated in the first place to understand that what they're worth and what they can actually be. I wasn't taught that. So I took the wrong path because I wasn't taught that. But the people who know, yeah, I'm destined to be different, right? In our community, how are you going to be different? You going to say, man, I'm not a regular dude. I ain't no regular cat. I'm different. So how you going to differentiate yourself and have your own individuality? You're going to pick up where you see, and violence is there. So the next person that come behind this generation, they're going to be more violent because they want to be different. They want to be seen as I ain't a regular dude.
And so we have about several more minutes, but
yes.
we could talk another half hour, but I
could go all day.
We got you for the first 30 minutes.
Yes.
And the next panel will address some of what they're listening to you, and so they'll address some of what we're talking about. So basically, but not all is lost, right?
No.
Because if we have the conversation, if we have the community benefit agreement, if we have the reparations, if we have legislators, especially on the city and state side, and members of Congress doing what they're supposed to do, if we have the public policy, all this can be worked out.
It can.
All this can be worked out, right? Yes. All this can be worked out. We finally get the kind of space that we deserve, that we can thrive in. We also get rid of that violence. We finally get places we can truly live in. We can truly live in. So that's, talk about that, like what that vision is for how we finally solve this, how we finally fix this. Because it sounds like to me, pieces of what you just said,
yes.
The fix is there, the solution is there. But, Hilco and other powers that be, they don't want that fix.
That's the thing, right? And we can fix it, right? But it's going to take the people. We got to stand up and stick together on these issues, on all the issues. Because when you look at us, we got the biggest redevelopment in the modern history of the city. And of course, they want to cut us out because that's normally how it go. We don't get cut in. So now when we come and we asking for 2%, 2% of that is almost $40 million. They ain't never used to giving people like us $40 million. They used to giving us turkeys and coats. And
backpacks.
Right, go back to school gifts and stuff, right? That's what they used to giving us. Now, we know, straight out the gate, we ain't getting no $40 million. That's not gonna happen, right? But we want investment in our community. That's part of the reparation. Invest in our communities. And it's going to take the people. See, because like when you say Congress and our legislators and all the, laws and the fixes there, but it takes us to force them to do it. We got to force them.
That's right.
We got to band together on all these issues. Like I was saying, we got the redevelopment, Hillco. They want to do us dirties. Look at the University City Townhomes. They want to kick them out. You see what I'm saying? Right. So we got to band together on all those issues and stick together on all those issues. That's the way, that's the key, that's the antidote. That's how we gonna solve the problem. We gotta make them do it by coming together, and we gotta talk to our people and tell whoever listen to you, we gotta come together. Whoever listen to you, I stop every time I was late getting here, because whoever listen, I'm asking them, do you know about this? We gotta stick together. Whoever listen, we gotta tell everybody, because we know they up to here with just regular life. That's right. But we gotta make them see that these are the things that can have a big change in their lives.
And just a reminder for everyone, right? There's an election next year, local one. New mayor, you can get a brand new mayor that actually wants to give a community benefit agreement around Southwest Philly for the oil refinery site. You can get the kind of city council that finally looks out for the residents around the refinery and residents throughout Philadelphia who are getting poisoned by these toxic substances, by these different fossil fuels. You can get a brand new set of representatives who really do truly care about these issues, who really do want to clean up the community, who really want to eliminate the violence. Like, I think that's an election issue. That's a campaign issue. Save UC Townhomes, that's an election issue. That's a campaign issue. And we're watching them, right? The people, the elected officials right now who don't want to talk about those issues, don't want to do anything about those issues. I don't know about you, but to me, they don't deserve to be in office. They have to be put on notice now. Everyone coming together, that means that this has to be next year, has to be that election, that primary. Can't just be 25% turnout, y'all. That has to be maximum turnout, everyone. Make it and letting them know this is for University City Townhomes. This is for the oil refinery. This is for the hundreds of people that are dying from gun violence each year when you can fix it, but you keep letting this go on. This is for the thousands of people, unknown still, that have died from the poisons and the gases at that refinery. You don't want to do anything about it? We're going to do something about it, right? That has to happen next year. That's when they'll listen. That is when they'll listen. Shawmar, just go ahead and wrap up, 30 seconds.
I couldn't say it any better, you know what I mean? So it's our turn now. We have an opportunity. We have to tell any and everybody who will listen, it's our turn to make the change now. We gotta come out and be proactive in our future. Don't just let them just do what they want to do. Thank you for having me.
Shawmar Pitts, strategist and organizer with Philly Thrive. Go to phillythrive.org, phillythrive.org, because Philly Thrive's been on the front lines. Like, a lot of us would not know about how bad that situation is at that oil refinery had it not been for Philly Thrive's efforts. So to learn more about Philly Thrive, to get involved with brothers like Shawmar Pitts and others, go to phillythrive.org. Get your young people involved too. That's a nice way to get your young people concerned about these issues, get them occupied, start having them learn about how to protect the spaces that we live in. It starts there with groups, with organizations that are really doing that work and making that noise. Philly thrive. That's why Hillco doesn't care for you too much. But we're going to make Hillco, and it's not just about it and everyone else that's in a position to make a decision. We're going to make them care about this issue. Thanks for having this conversation with me today, Shawmar. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for that work.
Oh, man, I appreciate it so much. Thank you.